Michelle Baum, founder of Inspired Style Company, and your host for today's show, Inspired. Inspired brings all of the people, stories, and ideas to you to create that spark of inspiration that leaves you no choice but to take action, to decide to chase your own hopes and dreams. And that's I've Decided's mission, to open you up to the possibility of chasing those dreams for yourself and finding your own success. That is our mission. Finding the inspiration that you need in everyday life and creating joy when things get tough, that's what we're going to talk about today. One way to do that is by practicing gratitude. And coincidentally, that is our I've Decided weekly winning word this week, gratitude. When you look, you can find something to be thankful for, even in the toughest of circumstances. And finding that gratitude and joy when life gets hard, that's what we're going to talk about today with my guests. If you're joining us online, please make sure and like and share this video on your favorite social media platform, or give us a comment with a way that you find gratitude in your own life. We love hearing from our I've Decided community. I can't wait to introduce you to my guests today. I know that you're going to love hearing their story, and we're going to share our passion for St. Jude. About 8 years ago, I was inspired by a local family that had just finished treatment for their daughter at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. And that inspired me to, even though I hadn't run in about 10 years, to pick up my running shoes and start running again in the Memphis to Peoria runs. I also decided to start a fundraiser for them, and I founded the Central Illinois Mom Prom, which started just as a way for a bunch of women to get together and have a fun night out, and it turned into something even bigger than I could have imagined, which is typically what happens when you have a big dream and you go after it. That first year at Mom Prom, I met my friend Christina Rivera. Christina, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Christina was a St. Jude patient when she was just a baby, diagnosed at 18 months old, and has grown up with St. Jude, incidentally. And then I also have with me my new friend, Tina Nestor, who St. Jude came into her life when her daughter was diagnosed at 6 years old. So even though this is a tough topic, it's hard to talk about these kind of, really it's a traumatic diagnosis and something that your family has to work their way through. But I do remember the first time I went to St. Jude feeling this overwhelming sense of gratitude that a place like this even existed. I hated the reason that it existed, but I was so grateful that there was something like this that was available to families and help them through this. I also wasn't walking through there as a patient or the mother of a patient.
Right.
So I'd love for you guys to share a little bit of your experience of St. Jude and what it means, because you expect when you get there that it's going to be a sad, you've got kids that are sick everywhere, that it's going to be a sad place, but it's not that at all. So, Christina, tell us your experience with St. Jude, what you remember from a kid and what you remember now.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed when I was 18 months old, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure how to look at that, I don't remember much of that. But I have since gone back as a participant in their studies.
Because they follow you your whole life, right?
The way that St. Jude does it is once you're a St. Jude patient, you're always a St. Jude patient. They never turn their back on you, no matter your age. So I have been going back to them every 2 to 3 years, and I help them figure out what could they do better with patients that they're dealing with now. So I just went back to St. Jude, I believe it was 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. The first time I went back was, I want to say 6 years ago, and I was petrified. I was so scared that I was going to walk into this building and all of these memories were going to come flooding back. And
because now you're a mom and you have your own kids, then you're picturing that.
And so I was terrified, and they had been asking me for, I want to say like 10 years, and I kept saying no. I said, I can't do it. I'm not ready. I don't know what that final thing was that said, you're ready, you can do this. So I went back, and I was dreading it, and I took my mom with me, which she didn't want to go either. She was certainly dreading it. And when we got there, one of the biggest things that they had so many upgrades and so many new things that it didn't look quite the same it did when we were there.
Yeah.
You know, because I was there in 19.
Don't want to say it.
Shortly
Couple
after,
years ago.
yeah, shortly after they had arrived there, so you know things were still new back then, and now it was upgraded. And
Yeah.
one of the, it's crazy, but one of the first things that I saw was there was a Starbucks. Made my
Starbucks.
day. I was like, okay, we're good. But you're right. You know, you walk in and you expect to see sadness, and it's just not. It's so joyous there. Like they are always trying to make sure that the patients are feeling welcomed and that they don't feel like they're in a place of sick, you know, where they come for that. So the hotel that we stayed at is on campus, and it's colorful, and they have activities every day. You can have Domino's pizza delivered to the hotel. And so I just go back to support St. Jude and help them do things better.
Right.
You know, what
They
what
can
am
learn
I
something
dealing?
from you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So whatever I'm dealing with, could they have done something different with my radiation or with my chemotherapy that wouldn't prevent whatever I'm going through to not happen to somebody else?
And then your daughter comes along a couple years later, just a couple years later, and benefits from that. Tell us about your experience at St. Jude.
Well, like Christina said, it's an amazing place, you know, and we were going into it scared to death. You know, we were diagnosed up here in Peoria when she was 6 years old, and we were in the hospital Friday in the middle of the night, and they had us head down there Sunday. So it was just it was very overwhelming. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what the prognosis is. And then you arrive down there and you're just inundated with all this. They handed us a big binder. Yeah. This is what's going to happen, you know, so you're just very overwhelmed. But everyone is so kind and so helpful. And so, you know, you walk through the halls and they're painted all these bright colors, and there's, you know, activities for the kids constantly, or groups coming in and volunteering. We lived at the Ronald McDonald House for 7 months, and probably every weekend there was a church group coming in, or, you know, some kind of a group coming in, so that you didn't have to worry about cooking. And, you know, it was overwhelming, you know, good and bad. You know, and then I had 2 smaller kids at home, and so, you know, we were so blessed with family and friends here too to help with those kids.
And that's something to be grateful for right there.
Right.
You've got
we could focus on Katie and, you know, getting her what she needed, and knowing that, you know, our other 2 were being taken care of at home. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I was struck by the idea that Danny Thomas created St. Jude as a way of giving thanks for every blessing that he received in life. The story is that he prayed to the patron saint of lost causes and St. Jude, and promised that if he was able to make it, he was going to do something great and build this in his honor. And so just the symbol of St. Jude is gratitude. It's I'm grateful for everything that I have, and I give this to you in gratitude. Right. How has this experience kind of changed your view on the blessings that you have in your life, and are able to, I mean, it has to just magnify them so much. You know, everything feels...
Right, you learn to appreciate absolutely everything, and just let the little things go, you know, things just kind of... that maybe used to bother you before, it just doesn't seem like a big deal because you've gone through this and you've survived, and my daughter survived, and, you know, we're just happy to...
Just happy to be alive.
You know, we're just thankful that we have our daughter. And so...
and as you grow, I'm sure it's been the same thing, you know, it's...
Yeah, I reflect back on my kids, you know, like, I actually thank St. Jude and having cancer, because if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have the kids that I have today. So I'm very grateful for my kids and for the community that's surrounded, and my family. My family was huge, and I'm so grateful for my family. They've helped me through so many things. You know, life gets tough, and you think back, but I'm here. And that's what I have to remember, is that I'm here, and somebody allowed me to be here. And part of that reason is St. Jude. Is the reason that I get to be here with you today, you know.
So great. It's so great. If you are just joining us, I'm Michelle Bohm, and I'm chatting with my friends Christina Rivera and Tina Nestor about gratitude, and we're really expressing our gratitude specifically for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, who, without them, Christina may not be sitting here. Tina's daughter, Katie, may not be here with us. So we have profound gratitude for the work that they do. We're really, when you think about that word, gratitude, giving thanks, it sounds easy when things are going well. But what do you do when you're in the worst of it? I mean, I know you were a baby there, but I've talked to your mom about it. Like, how do you express that when you are at the worst of the worst? Like, you can't imagine a worse situation, and I'm supposed to be thankful.
Right.
How do you do that?
It's not easy, I will certainly
No.
say. It's still, that's still the same for, everyone else. But I tend to think back and, I get the St. Jude text. I don't know if you guys do that. So I get a text, I think it's like once a month, about a St. Jude patient that is going through something. And that keeps me centered and grateful, because I see that there are children out there still suffering, and unfortunately will continue to suffer, but St. Jude is there for them. But it helps me to be grateful, to be reminded that there are people going through that, and whatever I am going through, there's someone that's going through something much worse.
Yeah.
And that's usually what I tell myself. You can get through this. You've gotten through so much worse.
It does. It gives you that sense of empowerment. Well, I got through that.
I won't say that we get there right away,
Right,
but
yeah,
usually,
yeah.
eventually I get
Yeah.
there and have to remember that, there's a reason that I'm still here, and be grateful for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when we were down there, I came home for one weekend, kind of in between those 7 weeks, and my mom stayed with Katie. And I remember coming home and people saying, how is it, whatever. And all my husband and I could say is that we felt blessed. And I know that sounds so strange to people, and they would look at us, but I mean, when you're down there, you see people and children that are way worse off. And so it puts everything in perspective. We knew that Katie had a very curable cancer, and, her prognosis was really, really very good. And so, yeah, I think we just focused on that. But, I'm not going to lie, I questioned my faith through the whole thing. I just questioned.
Absolutely.
But yet at the same time, that's what gets you through. So, yeah.
I just feel like if we can share more stories of people that have come through something like that, and and are not bitter and resentful, and why did this happen to me, or it's going to give strength to other people that are going through something tough right now.
Right.
There's plenty of people that are going through something tough. Maybe not kid cancer tough, but going through something tough right now, that are really struggling to find joy when they're going through it.
Yeah.
And I hope that this inspires them to do that. It's hard to believe, but we're just about out of time. So I want to take a minute and hear from our I've Decided business partner and our friend Daryl Crook at Fishing for Inspiration. Daryl is one of the most positive people I know, and I'm certain that he practices gratitude in his everyday life. So let's see what Daryl has to say.
Thanks for those kind words, Michelle. So the word is gratitude. What a great word. Robert Emmons, PhD, who's done many research projects on gratitude, claims that gratitude has the power to change lives. In one study, they went into a company, and each employee in the company was told to write down 3 gratitudes a day for 21 days. So at the end of 21 days, they have a list of 63 things that they're grateful for. That's pretty impressive, right? But what they found was that they could take a pessimist, and at the end of 21 days, they actually tested as a low-level optimist. Even better than that, they came back 6 months later and found that they hadn't returned to their pessimism, but now tested as a low to mid-level optimist. I love that. I love that. I'm like everybody else, though. I struggle with it sometimes. I try to be grateful all the time, but not always. I was talking with some friends of mine on an online meeting the other day. We were talking about the speaking business. We were talking about some things that worked for us and some things that weren't working, some of the things that we struggled with. And right now I was struggling with feeling kind of overwhelmed. And I shared with them that I had this talk that I had to do, and then I've got another one tomorrow, and I've got one I've got to do on the weekend. I've got 2 new ones I had to prepare for next month, and just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. My friend Rajiv reminded me that I should feel grateful for having the opportunity to do these talks and to share the messages that I wanted to share. Charles Swindoll said that joy doesn't make you grateful, gratitude makes you joyful. And when Rajiv reminded me to feel grateful, I definitely felt more joy. I felt happier. So I suggest you give it a try. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. You can do a gratitude list. You can do a gratitude journal. There's even gratitude apps nowadays, because I really do believe what Robert Emmons said is true. Gratitude does have the power to change lives.
That was Daryl at Fishing for Inspiration. If you love him as much as I do, go to Facebook and search for Fishing for Inspiration. We also have a link to his website in the show notes. I show up there for the positive mindset that he shares with me, and also the corny dad jokes. I think those brighten my day. So I know you'll love him as much as I do. Visit Facebook or fishing for with the number 4 inspiration.com. Thank you so much for joining us today on Inspired. I hope that hearing Christina and Tina's story will create that spark of inspiration in you to find gratitude wherever you happen to be right now. There is always something to be joyful for, and I hope that our guests today have shared that with you. You can find more inspiration, motivation, tools, resources, encouragement, accountability through the I Decided community. Our business and community members all join in together to create this community where we share each other's success and we encourage each other to chase after those big hopes and dreams. We invite you to visit ivedecided.org for more information and to find out how, if you own a business, you can become a business member or just join our community. We have a lot of really great resources for you there. Again, that's ivedecided.org. Thank you again to my guests today, Christina Rivera and Tina Nestor, for sharing your St. Jude experiences and inspiring all of us. And you will see me again every first Tuesday of every month here at Inspired. I'm Michelle Bohm, and thank you for joining us today.
PeoriaLife.com. Peoria Life.